We are recording the interview of James Nelson. This interview is being conducted by Katie Bradshaw from the Wright State University Veteran Voices Project. Also in attendance is Mike Nelson. This interview is being recorded at the Iowa Veterans Home in Marshalltown, Iowa. It is 10:54 a.m. on November 25th, 2019. Hello.
Hello.
I believe you would like to go by Jim for the purpose of this interview.
That would be nice.
Thank you for allowing us to be here today.
Sure.
All right, Jim, would you like to tell us about when and where you were born?
Oh, I was born in Webster City, Iowa. Their hospital there. And back in October 1st, 1946. So I was born just after the war was over. That's about it.
So then you were the first of the children in the family.
Yes, I'm the first of 8.
And so second, who came second?
Then I have my brother Art and my sister Louise, my sister Rose, my sister Eileen, my sister Mike, and my brother Mike. Sorry, Mike. And my brother Merlin and my sister Debbie. So I had a lot of siblings.
You had a lot of sisters.
Yes. I had 4 of each.
Did that balance out pretty well in the household?
Well, actually it did. I think so. I think it was about as even as you're gonna get.
Right. What did your parents do while you were growing up?
My mom was, she was mostly having children, and my dad was a farmer in Renwick, Iowa, and he raised corn and soybeans mostly, and we also had raised hay for our cows. We had cows and pigs, and we had about every farm animal you could think of on our farm there. So
Did you enjoy growing up on a farm?
oh, it was okay. I would have liked it better if I hadn't had to work so much, but we were just kind of hard men for our dad. We got to do all the chores and all the work around the place. We got to do a lot of it. We got to bale a lot of hay and straw, and we did that all summer long, seemed like.
Yeah, how did you balance during the school year with school and working on the farm?
Oh, well, we just went to school. Then when we got home, we went to work. So it was just mostly,
You're very busy.
yeah, we knew we had to work when we got home, so that's what we did.
Yeah. Were you able to be in sports as well at school?
No, I never was, except for during junior high. I played football and basketball and baseball. I like sports a lot, but I didn't get to my dad would let me play when I was in high school. He didn't want me getting busted up. So,
Okay. What was your favorite part of your high school years?
oh, I would say I was in the band, and I probably liked that the most. I played trombone, and after I got out of high school, I took up playing the guitar. I played guitar for quite a few years. Then when I had my stroke, I can't move this left hand anymore, so I can't play guitar anymore. So that was probably my most favorite thing in school.
Well, so after school, what did you do after high school?
I started going to college right away. Initially I went to a college called Waldorf College. It was kind of a junior college. I went there 2 years. Then I transferred to the University of Northern Iowa, and I went there 2 years.
What did you get your degree in?
Oh, I got a degree in history, non-teaching history. So it was during the Vietnam era, and I was afraid I was gonna get drafted into the Army, so I wanted to hurry up and get my degree, because I guess I thought I would never have a chance to finish going to college if I went to the Army, and so I just Waldorf College was a Lutheran college, and I came out of Waldorf College with a lot of hours that transferred as history hours. So I had more hours of history than anything else. So I took that as my major, and that's what I graduated with as a major.
Why did you choose the non-teaching route of history?
That's the only way I could get my degree and graduate with a degree. So.
Okay. You didn't have a desire to be a history teacher to...
Oh, that's what I initially was gonna do, was be like a high school history teacher. But to tell you the truth, I'd really, after a while, I didn't really want to do that anymore, so I just wanted to get a degree that was the important thing. You just want to get a degree because then you can get a job. A lot of jobs you could just, if you've got a degree, you could just apply, and if you've got a degree, you got a good chance of getting the job. So that's what I did.
Yeah, that seems to be, you're showing you're competent
Yeah.
to accomplish that so you can learn any kind of
Yeah,
job, really.
right.
Yeah. Right. So,
Yeah.
so were you also thinking then that maybe if you got drafted, you could be an officer as opposed to enlisted?
Oh, no, I really didn't care about that. Although, when I was over in Korea, they were going to send me to ROTC when my enlistment, if I re-upped, they'd send me to OCS, Officer Candidate School, and I wish now I'd have done that, but it's no big deal, I guess. I just wanted to get out of the Army, and so that's what I did.
Okay, so how did it come, how did you find out that you were being drafted once you had finished
I
college?
got a letter from the Army.
Did it arrive at your parents' home or at your college address?
I think, yeah, I believe it came to my college address. I believe that was how it was.
Okay, so the government knew you're finishing up and we're gonna grab you.
Yeah, well, it's the way Iowa draft worked, was the county that you were from had track of you, and they knew that I was somehow I suppose the college let them know that I was graduating, and so they could draft me, and they did.
Okay,
Yeah, they had to draft as many people as they could eligible, so
how did you feel when that letter arrived?
not, well, actually I felt pretty good. I had about half a fifth of whiskey in me.
That helped you cope with the news?
Yeah.
So how did you tell your parents that your letter had arrived?
Oh, I don't even remember. I suppose that I just called them on the telephone and told them.
Yeah. Do you remember leaving for basic training?
Yeah. Well, I was sent down to the Army, I think the recruiting station in Des Moines. And then that night I got on a transport plane with the other people that got drafted, and we flew to Louisiana, and I was bused to Fort Polk, Louisiana that same day, so at least I didn't have I didn't have a long bus ride. I just had a long plane ride right down the middle of the United States. We went right down the Mississippi River, and I remember seeing all kinds of cities on the left and right of the plane as we were going down. We could see all the lights of the cities. That was fun. The first time I ever been on a plane, so it was kind of neat.
So excitement along with the nerves.
Yeah.
Well, once you got to basic training, what did you think of the process? Did you find it difficult to adjust to, or pretty easy?
Yeah, it was pretty. I didn't have to work much harder than I did at home, so it didn't bother me much. It was I could put up with about anything they threw at me, so.
Farm work got you ready for the Army.
Yeah, I did.
So, in your time in basic training, do you have any memories that really stand out?
Oh yeah, I remember that I lost a lot of weight. I remember that. And that was a good thing. I've always had trouble all my life with my weight, so of course, basic training, they have you doing all kinds of crazy exercises, climbing around on stuff and doing all kinds of different exercises and stuff, and you got in pretty good shape.
Did you meet some good friends while you were in basic training?
Oh, I met some guys. We were friends, but nothing lasting, I guess you'd say.
So from basic training, how did you find out what your job was going to be?
Oh, well, when at the end of basic, they assigned you to what they call AIT, Advanced Infantry Training. And all that I happened to, a lot of people got shipped all over the United States to different training facilities. I got shipped across the fort to another infantry unit, and I just had another, what it amounted to was another 9 weeks of infantry training or basic training. So I had like a total of 18 weeks of infantry training.
Okay, because basic training felt a lot like the same sort of training.
AIT was just like basic training.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so your AIT, you went for infantry.
Yes.
And then from there, did you get assigned to a base or deployed?
Yeah, I got sent to Korea after that. I got to go home for I think it was a 30-day vacation and then I was sent to Korea.
When you went home, I imagine all of your little brothers and sisters were happy to see you.
Oh yeah, you bet.
So did your dad put you straight to work on the farm, or did you get to go have a pretty good time seeing all your friends?
Well, I was married at the time, so I got to see my wife. That was the most important thing to me. And I really can't remember anything I did. I think I spent most of my time over at my wife's parents' place.
Okay, was she staying with her parents while you were away?
Yeah.
That must have been very difficult to find out then that you were going to Korea since you were married.
Yeah. It wasn't the ideal thing. She ended up staying with her sister in Waterloo. Or she was going to college at UNI. We're going there together, and I got drafted when I graduated from college, and then she stayed with her sister while I was in the Army.
Okay, that must have been really difficult. That adds a lot of
Yeah.
longing for home then to the situation.
Yeah, that's for sure.
How long had you been married by the time you left?
Oh, it was 6 months, something like that.
Okay. Okay, so then when you were leaving for Korea, I imagine that was a pretty difficult goodbye.
Yeah. I don't even remember it.
So when you arrived in Korea then, how was that process?
Oh, they sent us to a place they called a replacement depot, a repo depot is what they called it. And from there they assigned you to a unit as a replacement. So I was sent to the 1st to the 31st, and they evidently needed a secretary, so I ended up being sent there as a clerk in battalion headquarters. So actually it was a pretty good job, and that's where I spent all my time then, was as a typist basically in the 1st to 31st Infantry infantry unit. They were that unit was they were guarding missile bases is what they did, and we just kind of moved from place to place. When I first got there, they were out in the field, so I lived for about 4 months in a big squad tent, and they put our bunk beds in the squad tent, and I remember that the ground was kind of a little mushy, and the bed sunk into the ground down to it's sunk right up to the first bed.
Oh,
and
wow.
then the bunk bed. Yeah, it was.
So there wasn't a tarp on the floor? They just put
No.
it on dirt?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did any of them tip over?
Oh, yeah. We had kind of like monsoon rains. That'd kind of flood the tents. So you have to wait till the rain quit, and then you'd have to rebuild your tent. Or gather all your stuff back. It was
So you'd get done working your shift and have to go work to repair your living space.
yeah, that had happened, and it was okay most of the time. It's just when it rained, it made a mess.
Yeah.
So,
Did your degree help you get the job as the secretary then?
well, that's the only thing I can think of.
So that worked out good then.
Yeah, I guess so. I think what the deal was, when you're drafted, they give you a intelligence test, and I had a high score on the intelligence test, and so I think that's probably what happened there. As it turned out, I went to work with the guys that assigned me to their battalion headquarters. So evidently they needed somebody that could type. They checked each person they were assigning. They had their intelligence score on their sheet, so I just assumed they saw I had a high score, so they assigned me to work in their office. I lucked out, I guess.
Yeah, did they have to do a security clearance on you then?
They did eventually. I did have very high clearance. I had I can't even remember. It was like the bottom clearance.
Maybe just secret. That's usually the basic.
It's even lower than that. Go confidential.
Okay. Okay.
That's the kind of clearance I had with, and I don't even know why I had that. I did occasionally handle secret documents, but nothing I ever got to look at. It was like secret orders that came in for the colonel of the battalion or something like that. But I never got to read any of it.
Okay, how was your communication back home while you were in Korea?
Oh, it was really pretty good. I could pick up a phone and call home, so it was pretty good, I guess you'd say. And I wrote a lot of letters. That's what I did at night a lot of the time, was write letters, so a lot of that.
I imagine those were really appreciated.
Oh yeah.
So you would write home to your family, your folks and stuff, and then you'd also write home to your wife?
Yes. Mostly I'd write to my wife, but I'd write to my folks too.
Were you ever able to send some photos home that maybe you had taken?
I remember sending tapes that I'd recorded. I did that, and pictures. I think I sent some pictures also.
Did you also receive tapes?
Yes. Yeah, I don't know whatever happened to those, but
During your time in Korea, was there kind of a middle point where you were able to come home and visit, or did you not get to?
I was just walking out the door when my officer that I worked for stopped me from going. I was just about ready to get on the plane, and so he said well, basically I was too valuable to go, and so I just stayed where I was at.
That must have been very disappointing.
Yeah, well, it was hard to let my wife know that I was going to come.
Yeah. So then you like a good soldier, readjusted your mind.
Oh, yeah, you don't have a choice, you know.
As far as the living while you were there, so you were in a tent situation that was pretty difficult
To start with.
to start with.
And then we moved to a regular base that was mostly Quonset huts. And we stayed there for about 4 months, and then we moved to the DMZ. They have permanent bases up there where they keep U.S. infantry units, and I was there for about 4 months. And they were basically, well, if you know what a Quonset hut is, it's just kind of a steel building, and it had They were cold and drafty, I remember that. They had one stove in the Quonset hut to keep it warm. And as long as you could get into your bed and get a lot of blankets over you, you're all right.
How many people would be in a Quonset hut?
Oh, let's see. About 20.
Was it just one big room?
Basically, yeah.
What about the food? How did you adjust to the food in Korea?
Oh, it's just like U.S. They had the army. They evidently printed one menu for the whole army, and that's what you get. None of it was any good. It was, yeah.
Flavorless?
Yeah.
Did you go out into the community to eat ever?
Oh, yeah, I did one time, I remember. We got it's kind of a sample meal of what they have, and I didn't like it either. This kind of thing now, there's a lot of Korean restaurants popping up all over the place, and I knew what kimchi was before they had it in the United States.
You didn't like it?
Those nasty stuff.
Do you like normal sauerkraut? Like German sauerkraut?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, because I like kimchi more than German sauerkraut.
Oh yeah. That's, no, well, the funny thing was that we had a bunch of Korean soldiers that stayed with our unit. They were called Katusas, and they would go to their clubhouse or whatever it was, called it the Katusa Club, and they'd drink and eat kimchi, and there's a nasty smelling stuff, and we could always tell when they'd be on a binge.
And I suppose you associate that smell even now. If you were to smell it to that time, that was
Oh yeah.
not very ideal in your life.
I'm sure. I never smelled it since. That's a good thing.
Do you have any memories in Korea that you would like to share that really stand out?
I remember once for some reason I was worked late, and all of a sudden somebody came running in and told us that somebody had shot their company commander, and evidently was high or drunk or one or the other, and got into it with his company commander, and he shot his company commander, and they had to medevac the commander out to a MASH unit, which was about 40 miles away. And then they took the guy, the black guy, and they sent him off to prison or something, and that was I stayed on the job that night till about 9 o'clock at night, I suppose, and there wasn't any real reason for me to do that, but I thought maybe I might be useful, and they had helicopters come flying in and out, taking people here and there, and it was, the guy was, I think the guy was on drugs, and he had a problem with his commander, and he settled it. He went out on they had him go out on some kind of some kind of it was some kind of raid. It was a training mission or something. He ended up getting his hands on
a weapon, maybe?
A weapon with live ammunition, and
wow.
They never let us have live ammunition for most of the Army I saw in the States. They'd give you a weapon, but they'd never give you any ammunition for it. You'd walk guard duty, and you'll have the weapon, but you have no bullets for it. So
that's how it was when I was in Korea. We had to carry the M16 around, but we didn't have any weapons.
Yeah.
Or any bullets. Thankfully, that would have been more stressful, I think, if
where were you
there had been.
in Korea?
In Al Jaber was the base.
Japan.
And so it was inside of a Kuwaiti base was then the U.S. base. And it had been set up during Desert Storm, but then I went right before the 9/11 or the Iraq invasion kicked off.
Oh, you were in the Near East.
Yeah, but it was before the Iraq invasion, so we still got to go into town and eat, food from around the world and do some shopping and the fun time, not the stressful time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got to have a good experience in Kuwait, and that's not most people's story.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Yeah. So then, did he survive, the guy who got shot?
Oh, I don't really know.
Okay.
I don't. I'm not not sure if he was hurt bad or not. I know that they medevaced him out to a hospital, and that's all I ever heard of it.
Yeah.
They never talked about it or anything after that, so.
Okay. While you were in Korea, did you make some good friends?
Yes. I had, probably half a dozen guys I knew in my unit that I was in a tent with the battalion headquarters people. I was in S1, which is like personnel, and I knew a lot of people that were in S2 that were, that was like security or that kind of thing. And I knew people in S4 that was supply, and most of those guys.
Were you able to stay in contact with some of them after returning home?
Yeah, I knew a guy in fact his name was Terry Best. He was from Minneapolis. I called him and asked him what he was doing. He left probably a few weeks before I did. And so he was back home, and I think I had his phone number, and I gave him a call, and I think that's the only one I remember calling.
I imagine that transition coming home is pretty difficult.
Oh no, I was glad to get back.
Okay, well that's good.
Yeah.
So how did that go? How did your homecoming go? How did you find out that it was time for you to come home?
Well, you knew, you have a date on your record. I think it's called your DROS, that you knew the exact date you were leaving. And so when that day came, they got you, they shipped you out, and funny thing, I got sent down. I ended up being sent to the airport. I was gonna be flown over to Japan, and their planes were all full, and I couldn't get a ride over, and I remember staying up all day and night, make sure they didn't leave me behind, and I got a ride the next day, jet over to Japan. I remember we flew in to a airport that's is built out into the sea, and we landed over the water and on the runway. It was pretty cool.
Were you nervous, hoping he would hit the runway?
No.
Like hoping he wouldn't miss it?
Yes. Well, I was glad to be on solid ground, I'll say that. Then when we're taking off, we're going to do a single, one solid flight from Japan to Fort Lewis, Washington. And it was a long flight. I was dead tired. And I remember we took off and I think they came back and had to work on the plane because it wasn't quite right. Finally we took off and flew back. We flew over the entire Pacific Ocean, water all the way, and landed at Fort Lewis, Washington, or somewhere out there on the West Coast. Anyway, I was sent to Fort Lewis, Washington. That's where I got out of the Army.
So you did not go home first, you went straight to Fort Lewis?
Yeah, went to Fort Lewis and got out there. And then I caught a flight out of Fort Lewis to, I think it was Waterloo, Iowa, and one long final flight across the Pacific and one long flight from Fort Lewis to Waterloo, Iowa. And I was tired to fly, and I remember that.
I imagine.
Yeah.
Were you able to out-process at Fort Lewis pretty quickly?
Well, yeah, not bad. You know, you have your normal Army bullshit. You know, they can't resist. They can't resist messing with you. So, yeah, I don't even remember. All I can remember is that I went into a room once and it was evidently it was all full of, it was full of a great big heap of Army camouflage boots from Vietnam soldiers, a whole great big room full of shoes, and I was kind of surprised about that.
What was that about?
That was just where they took, evidently they were sorting them or something, and trying to find the ones that weren't all shot, I suppose.
Well, now if the Army was having them returned, was that maybe soldiers out processing, leaving them behind that they didn't
Yeah.
want them?
No, I would say it's more the Army was taking them back because you would have never had any say as to keeping them or not.
Okay.
I I don't think.
Well, you hear a lot of really difficult stories of people coming home from the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
Did you experience
No,
any of that?
I didn't have any hard times getting back. I just, once I could get a flight out of Japan, it was fine. That was fine. I remember that when I got back into Fort Polk, I requested a long distance line so I could call my wife. And I got to call and talk to her, tell her I was back, and tell her I was flying out like the next day, coming back to Iowa.
So then did she pick you up at the airport in Waterloo?
Yeah, she did. Yeah, it was her and my sister and brother-in-law picked me up at the airport. I remember that we went out someplace and had a prime rib. I thought that was a good deal.
After all that bland food in Korea.
Yeah.
So was she still living with her parents?
Oh, she was living with her brother and sister-in-law.
Okay, so then you moved into your brother and sister-in-law's house?
Yeah, I did.
Did you come back and where did you start working when you got back?
Oh, when I was drafted, I was working for a company called Central States Theaters Incorporated. They owned a lot of the theaters in Iowa, and I worked at a theater, a drive-in in Waterloo called the Starlight Drive-In Theater. And I went back to work at that place, and they gave me a job as the assistant manager there, and I was assistant manager at the theater for, it was probably 4 or 5 months, and then they gave me, I was a manager of the Ranch Drive-In Theater in Ames, Iowa. So I moved from Waterloo to Ames. And then they made me manager of the Clinton Drive-In Theater in Clinton, Iowa. And I was there for a couple of years. And I quit at that place. And I moved back to Waterloo. And I was there for I went back to work at the Starlight Drive-In Theater for I don't know what it was. Then I I moved from the Storylight back to the Ranch Ride Theater in Ames. And I worked there for a couple of years. And
Were you a movie buff? Is that part of what made you interested in those jobs?
oh no, I just needed some money. Just a job to be. I did get to watch a lot of movies, though.
You always knew what was out and popular, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. I went to the good ones. Um,
Did you end up getting a chance to use your degree in history?
no, I never did. Uh, I just wanted to make sure I had a degree. If you have a degree, you can apply most any place.
So you eventually ended up working at Winnebago
Yeah,
in Forest City.
yeah.
Did you end up back there because you'd attended college those first few years in Forest City?
Yes. As a matter of fact, I worked for Winnebago while I was in college in Forest City. And, yeah, I went, I think I quit the whatever theater I was running at the time and went to work at, was lucky to get a job at Winnebago, and I spent probably the first 6 months I was in, when at Winnebago, I was building Winnebagos. I worked on the assembly line, and from there I got a job as a computer operator. I did that for about 2 years, and then I got a job as a computer programmer, and I did that for, probably 15 years at Winnebago, and from there I got, Winnebago is a funny place. There are like a lot of other factories. They hire a whole bunch of people when they need them, then they fire them all. And that's what happened to me, is I got laid off. And after that I got a job with the Lamar's Mutual Insurance Company over in Lamar's, Iowa. And I was a computer programmer, and I did that for about 10 years, and then they wanted to install a computer network, so I was put in charge of installing that, and I worked for a guy that was he was the head of systems at Lamar's Mutual, and I was, well, I had some title, network administrator or something like that, and I spent my time putting computers together and I installed personal computers for everybody at the company there, over 100 personal computers, and we put in a network and hooked them all together, and so that's what I did. That's what I was doing when I was talking to my boss one day. I said, geez, I don't feel very good. I think I'll better go home, and I did. I went out, jumped in my truck and went home, and the neat thing was my boss didn't think I looked very good. He followed me home and came and knocked on my door. I answered the door, and I opened the door and fell down. And I think that's when I had my stroke. So he called the ambulance, and I got taken to the hospital, and they started working on me, and I think I spent the next 4 weeks in the hospital, something like that.
That's a long time.
Yeah. They sent me from the Lamar's hospital to Des Moines. They have a rehabilitation unit called Yonkers, and they had me there for a month or two, and I was in pretty good shape when I left there, and then after that I get sent home, and I've been sitting around ever since.
So that's when retirement began?
Yes, I retired at age 56.
Okay. So you were in the computer industry, like the private,
Right.
like personalized computer industry very early on.
Oh yeah, when it first started up.
Is it amazing to you where computers are now in comparison?
No, because my first 15 years of computers, I worked on great big IBM computers, and they were great big machines, you know, and we thought the personal computers were just kind of not real computers, kind of
Like a toy?
toys. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could you have imagined then the internet and
Oh, no.
smartphones?
No, I know it's. I mean, now you have smartphones, which are basically little computers and tablets. I've even got a tablet.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Were you able to stay involved with computers once you retired as a hobby?
Yeah, I got a big computer right behind you.
That's a very nice screen.
Yeah.
And I see there's a webcam. Do you chat with some people?
I did it one time. I don't have it running anymore. I used what's that one program?
Skype?
Skype. Yeah. Yeah, I had a guy in here in IVH. I used to Skype all the time, and we did that for a couple of years, and it's pretty cool. I use it to call Eileen every once in a while.
Okay.
Yeah, and I use it to call him. Unfortunately, he died. But yeah, it's they use Skype here in IVH for talking to nurses at different hospitals. I talked to nurses at the VA hospital in Des Moines several times.
With Skype. That's amazing.
With Skype, yeah. They have kind of a computer unit they put together for using Skype to call people at the VA hospital in Des Moines. Have you had that a couple of times?
That must save people traveling a long distance when they don't really need to be seen in person if it can be done over Skype.
Yeah, a lot of that is they just want to talk to you, you know, and it takes a couple hours to drive down to Des Moines, and then you gotta I used to get for a while I had tests that showed I might have cancer, so they had me go to the VA hospital in Des Moines for tests, and I used to have to go to the oncology lab, they call it. If you ever get stuck with oncology, what it means is cancer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you didn't have cancer?
Didn't have.
Oh, that's
Thank
good.
God I didn't
Yeah.
have cancer.
Yeah. So you've been here at the Iowa Veterans Home for about 10 years.
Yeah.
How has your experience been here?
Oh, it's not bad.
It's a nice big room you have.
Yeah, it's bigger than most rooms. Bigger than the rooms I had before I moved into it. Well, Mike remembers where I used to be. It was about half the size of this. And when I first came here, I lived in a room with one other guy. So, and we had a room about this big, but it was split in two. He had half and I had half, so.
It's nice to have your own space.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So I saw when we came in, they have a lot of different activities here.
Oh.
Are there some that you're involved in?
Oh, no, not really. They go on quite a few trips. I do that all the time.
Okay.
Usually they go out to restaurants a lot. I like doing that. I go over to what's the place at Ames?
That big one?
Yes.
I know what you're.
House?
Yeah, is it Hickory House?
Yeah, Hickory Park.
Hickory
yeah.
Park. Yes.
Yeah, we go over there all the time. I like that real well. And there's a barbecue joint here in town I like. And I'll go every place but fish. I don't like fish, so.
Or do you guys have any kind of veteran groups here that meet, or?
Well, they do, but they're like, Alcoholics Anonymous and
Okay.
things like that.
Yeah. And then your cousin Nancy is also here in this home,
She
right?
is. She lives on the floor above me on, yeah, she's in the middle of the hall, right above me, and
That must be nice to have a family member.
yeah, that is,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, Jim, do you feel like there's anything that we haven't covered that you'd like to share?
Oh, no, we probably gone through all the dirty details.
Okay, well, one last question for you.
Sure.
What advice would you leave to future generations?
Oh. I would say that the best financial advice I can give people is don't get involved with stock market. I had money in 2 different stock market, what do they call them?
Funds or Roth IRAs or,
No, they were actually,
For stocks?
I had stocks,
okay.
and I lost all my money, and when I left Winnebago, I got a 401k distribution, and I invested it with Harper Jaffrey, and the guy there that I invested it with bought stocks in gold. Well, yeah, it was gold. Basically, I owned a bunch of gold stocks that went bad, and I lost all my money, and he did it all without my knowledge. And then I had another 401k distribution. It was another stock market place. I invested it. It was back during the 2008
The recession.
and I lost a lot of money then. So then I pulled all the money out of that and invested it in it's like a mutual fund that it finishes when I'm 75.
Okay.
It's I can't even remember.
Like a term? I'm trying to think what phrase would be used for that. So when you turn 75, you will get that money then?
Right.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
The problem is, when I came in here, they get all my money, everything I have. They get all my Social Security, and I had some military medical funds that I get on a regular basis, and they get all that.
Okay.
That's how I pay to stay in here.
Yeah. So if you get this payout at 75, do they get that money as well?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know what I'm gonna do about that, but
Okay.
Yeah, essentially, I'm in here and I get $140 a month.
Okay.
That's what I get. But they get from the money that I get from the government, they get whatever I have coming.
To pay to take care of you, to cover to take
Yes,
care of you.
uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, I would imagine you have a better setup than a lot of people have.
Oh, yeah.
So that's good.
I'm not, I'm pretty well off compared to most people, I'd say. Most people in rest homes and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I probably got a better, I mean, just every month they take us all kinds of places, and you know, I get to go to a lot of places more than I would if I was staying at home.
Yeah, and the building is beautiful. This
Oh,
looks like such a
yeah.
nice facility.
Yeah, it is really nice.
That's good. Okay, well, is there anything else that you wanted to add?
Not that I can think of.
All right. This concludes our interview with James Nelson. Thank you for your time today and thank you for your military service.
Sure.